popular Polish-American fantasy drama, The Witcher dropped its long-awaited second season back in December to generally favorable reviews. And the casting for the show, which includes Superman himself, Henry Cavill, is full of interesting little tidbits and quirky facts, most of which you would hardly believe, from stunt work to links to other popular shows. Today, we're discussing things you didn't know about the Witcher cast, so stay right where you are. First up, it's the man himself, Henry Cavill. As you may or may not know, Cavill, who arguably came to prominence via his role as Charles Brandon in The Tudors, actually performs his own stunts for the series. Channeling his inner Tom Cruise, Cavill decided the best way to stand out from the other actors who had applied for the position would be to perform his own stunt work, and the ploy paid off. Creator Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich was impressed with how far Cavill was willing to go to bring the character of Geralt of Rivia to life, and eventually cast a Sherlock Holmes actor in the lead role, which fans will be delighted about. Cavill even pursued the role himself after reading the books and also playing the Witcher video games, which put him head and shoulders above his casting competition. And the competition was pretty stiff. The creator revealed that there were more than 200 applicants for the lead, but after not seeing anyone who matched up to Cavill, she decided to go back to where she started and hand our man Henry the role. What is your favorite Cavill performance? Next, we're talking about the more difficult casting choice. Stay tuned. You might have just assumed that Geralt of Rivia, being the star of the show, would have been the most difficult role to cast. With a ton of actors interested in the role, it would have been the obvious choice, but apparently the role of Jaskier gave the show's producers the biggest headaches, before eventually settling on Joey Beatty, who's possibly more famous for his musical performances in the past, and it was his musical noise which ultimately won the day for Beatty, as pretty bizarrely, he knows how to play the lute. And what on earth is a lute, we hear you cry? Well, it's a medieval stringed instrument similar to a mini guitar, which looks a little bit like a half egg with a flat face. The role also stipulated that the actor should be handsome and young, which kind of narrowed it down even further to Beatty, and it took quite some time before they found their man, apparently, and we can see why. The lute playing ability is pretty niche. What do you guys make of Beatty being cast in the role of Jaskier? Let us know below. We have a connection to a classic next. Don't go anywhere. Occasionally, when you're watching a new show, an actor you recognize will pop up on screen, and you will do that Leonardo DiCaprio / Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme, where you point at the screen trying to figure out where you know that actor from. Well, The Witcher features a couple of these moments, and both of the characters come from the same show. Why? Game of Thrones, of course. The classic HBO show features a ton of actors, and 2 of them actually pop up in The Witcher, but you will need to have been a pretty devoted Game of Thrones fans to have noticed. Queen Calanthe actress Jodie May in the hit show, she played Maggie the Frog in the season 5 premiere, a fortune teller who predicts a young Cersei Lannister's future. The other one is much more significant. You'll recognize Norwegian actor Kristoffer Hivju, who appeared as Nivellen in The Witcher, as wilding raider Tormund Giantsbane, who at first was an enemy of Jon Snow but came to be an integral part of his fight against the Night King. Show creator Hissrich even claimed that she explicitly didn't want any Game of Thrones actors, since there are some quite obvious comparisons between the shows, but it seems that some of the actors were just destined for these sorts of roles. Have you guys noticed any more actors from any other shows in The Witcher? Let us know below. A game and TV show casting crossover now. Stay with us. If you've ever played The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt game, which of course is also based on the hit books by Andrzej Spakowski, you will know that there are a handful of characters who are able to play with, including Anna Henrietta, the ruling Duchess of Toussaint. In the game, she is voiced by none other than Mayanna Beering, star of movies such as The Twilight Saga, Kill List, and of course the uber-popular Downton Abbey. But you might also know that Beering appears in the Witcher TV show as Tissaia de Vries, mentor to Yennefer and the rectrix of Aretuza, the training academy for female mages. Pretty cool, right? Did you know about this little piece of crossover casting? Next up, we're talking about Anya Chalotra. Stay with us. Of course, a lot of actors are a little apprehensive when they read a script and see nudity in it, which is perfectly understandable. Producers will argue that when it comes to the territory of being on a hit show, it must still be pretty uncomfortable. And Anya Chalotra, who plays the role of Yennefer on The Witcher, was no different, harboring clear reservations of appearing naked on screen. However, sensing the actress's discomfort, the production team actually offered her a body double to perform the nude scenes. But once she had thought about it, she actually declined the offer. In a real act of professionalism, she decided that it would be necessary for the integrity of the role that she fulfill the scene properly. It might be seen as a pretty big sacrifice, and actors refuse this sort of thing all the time, so her sacrifice should probably be commended, and fans of the show should give her props for having the guts to perform the scene properly. What do you guys make of Kalatra's scenes? Let us know below. We have an odd casting choice now. Stay with us. You're probably aware by now that the role of Ciri on The Witcher is played by the excellent Freya Allan. Ciri is the granddaughter of Queen Calanthe and is destined to be with Geralt. But all that aside, it could and possibly should have been oh so different. When Freya applied to be on the show, she was actually going for a very different role and auditioned for the part of Marilka, daughter of Blaviken's alderman. But Sophie Howlard, who served as casting director on the show, had other ideas. She suggested to creator Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich that Allan would make a far better Ciri, and her destiny was sealed. And Allan, who had mentally prepared for a completely different role, revealed how the recasting was bizarre and confusing. However, she has bagged much more screen time as a result of the casting shift, so she's probably happier looking back. And she should probably take it as a compliment that, after seeing her performance as Marilka in auditions, Holland thought she could do a better job in a more prominent role. What do you guys make of Allan as Ciri? Give us your thoughts below. We're talking cameos next. Stay with us. You probably remember that scene in Game of Thrones in the premiere of Season 7 when Arya is ambling through the forest, only to come across a band of Lannister soldiers. Well, after charming them and sitting down to eat around the campfire, it turned out one of them was actually none other than world-class singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran, who was apparently a huge fan of the show. And of course, a lot of shows use cameo appearances of famous actors or celebrities to boost their views. Think Entourage or Mike Tyson in The Hangover. But unfortunately for fans, The Witcher, this is something the show's creators were not willing to explore. Apparently, Andrzej Spakowski, who wrote the books, thought the gimmick of cameos was completely unnecessary and made the cast and crew promise now to indulge fans in any act of populism. Fair enough. And finally, we're talking about Cavill's bathtub scenes. Stay tuned. Following Geralt's iconic bathtub scene, Henry Cavill has pretty hilariously revealed that the character will only be showering from now on. Brilliant. But in a pretty crazy casting secret, you're probably unaware that Cavill actually dehydrated himself for 3 days prior to filming to give himself a much more realistic look. Cavill reduced his water intake in a bid to come across as more toned and fit on screen, saying he wanted to get his skin really thin so it sits on the muscles. "We'd rather you than us, Henry." He went on to say that's the worst part of it. Like, diet is difficult, and you're hungry, and when you are dehydrating for 3 days, you get to the point in the last day where you can smell water nearby. Yeesh. As always, thanks for dropping by today, and remember to tune in next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video? And if you're feeling particularly spicy, feel free to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any more great content going forward. Bye, guys.